Austenland.
Austenland. All right.
So I gave Austenland a 3 out of 5, and this is what I have to say
All
about it.
right.
This rom-com is ridiculous, silly, formulistic, and over the top. But hey, I can appreciate the attempt at manipulating millions of Jane Austen fans. It has a decent premise, weak execution, and some funny moments by a lovable cast.
All
So,
right.
this is a typical Bob 3 out of 5 for a rom-com. Like, there's nothing great about it, but it's not like horrible either. It's just it is pretty run-of-the-mill average, which I guess I'm portraying more negatively than positively. But it stars Kerry Russell, and it has Brett McKenzie in it from Flight of the Conchords.
That's right.
And those two actors alone are enough to see this movie. Oh, I'd throw in one other pretty major role, Jennifer Coolidge, who's she's pretty funny. Um, she's in A Mighty Wind and a lot of those
Mm,
mockumentary type
mm.
movies. Uh, and she was in Legally Blonde. And anyway, so this is one of these movies that it just needs to be tied up and wrapped in a pretty pink bow for so many reasons. It's about a 30-something played by Kerry Russell who has nothing going on in her life, and she has no man, and of course she's lonely, and the whole purpose of life is for this 30-something to find the right man on this white horse or whatever. And so it's already kind of bullshit from the beginning because
But
that's
that's like the premise of a Jane Austen novel too, right?
well, that's yeah. I'd like to think Jane Austen had it together a little more, but sure, there's plenty of overlap. Um, Kerry Russell's character finds out about this theme park based on Jane Austen novels, basically, which is a huge gimmick, but actually kind of fun. Ish to play with, and she thinks that if she goes to this all-inclusive experience of reliving Jane Austen novels with men playing characters and playing dress up and going to balls and stuff, that somehow it'll spark something in her that'll help her life. So the premise is flawed in the first place because who in their right mind would think that that would solve any problem in life of catching a man? But who cares? It's
I
a
mean,
great,
romantic comedies, they're those
yeah,
premises are always pretty manufactured, right?
right. What are you going to do? So she goes on this trip, meets up with Jennifer Coolidge's character, who's an eccentric, really rich woman who's looking for men just because she can pay for it, and wants to have this same experience, but really doesn't know much about Jane Austen, which provides for some comic relief. And then hilarity ensues with the way that the role play happens, and she gets swept up into this world of Jane Austen novels. And long story short, it has its funny moments. It's gimmicky. Spoiler alert, she finds the perfect man of her dreams. And what is there to say? You'll like some of it, and you'll hate some of it. But if you're a Jane Austen fan, you might be more annoyed than pleased because although it's focused around Jane Austen stuff, it's not necessarily in a shining light that it like brings Jane Austen to the forefront of credibility that all the men in the world were just waiting for or something. But whatever, it's a fun ride. So see it if
All
you feel
right.
like it.
Awesome. Awesome.